Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Destiny. I do book things here, and today we're going to do a review. One second. Homemade cold brew. So, first let's address the elephant in the room. I'm sorry if you hear Ollie's toys or Ollie. She was supposed to take a nap. We are on the train of no nap days. So, Mom has not found time to film where she's asleep. So, this is what you get. Second thing, I moved all my shelves. So you can see there's two here, 1 and 2. And then there's 2 across the room and then 1 in my bedroom. I broke down my library to make it a dining room so I could have more family time with Ollie, which I'll discuss later. But there are new shelves here. He's just gonna jump to the top of that one. He likes sleeping on top of the big one here. But here, what we're here for today. We are here for a review. I'm going to review the first 3 books in the Crave series. So Crave, Crush, I had them in the opposite, or wrong order, Crush, and Covet by Tracy Wolff. This is the first 3 in the series. There are 3 more coming, or there's 3 more. That is, it's on my shelf. It starts with C's too. I think all of them start with C's. But I have the 4th one, but I wanted to do them in 3. So the first 3 of the series, and then I'll do the last 3. If you have never heard of this series follows Grace. Grace's parents have been in an accident. They passed away in the first book. And Grace ends up having to move to Alaska with her uncle and her cousin. Hold on, let me grab that toy. Hold on. Okay, now that I got all of her toys turned off and turned them where they can't make noise. Grace's parents die. She has to move in with her cousin and her uncle in Alaska, where he is the principal of a boarding school. Now, I have talked about Crave before on my channel. With Crave, I did not read the inside cover. I went into it completely blind, and honestly, I absolutely love going into it absolutely blind. It has to be my favorite thing I've ever done. I picked it up because I saw it all over BookTube and TikTok, BookTok, and had no clue what it was about. I'm so happy I did. I do want to say this will be spoilerly. I'm gonna put it in the title. I will put it up here throughout the whole video. It will be spoiler filled. So if you don't want any spoilers for any of the books, just know I will try to do chapters. I'm not sure how to. I will try to do chapters for you guys to know each book, so that if you've read Crave and you've read Covet, but you haven't, or Crush, you haven't read Covet, you can have the spoilers. So Crave, Grace ends up in, I'm trying to think of the school name now. It doesn't want to give it to me. Maybe I should try the other one. Hold on, I'm trying to think of what the school is called. Academy. There it is. Academy. And so in the very beginning, you get all this is from Grace's perspective. She meets her cousin Macy at landing the water plane. Macy gets her on an altering vehicle and takes her out to Academy, which is in the middle of freaking nowhere. I remember going to this thinking, is she going, are they going to serial killers, are out here? Or, who puts a boarding school in Alaska? These kids must be bad. You know what I mean? It's an alternative school or something. No. No, they are all paranormal. So, it wasn't until I got to page 200 that I read the inside cover and giggled. So, when Grace gets there, she meets Jackson Vega, and he wants nothing to do with Grace. And Grace doesn't know why. She can't figure out what he knows it, why he has only anything to do with her. He tells her she needs to leave, and she's like, why do I need to leave? That makes no sense. I just got here. I have nowhere to go. And he's mean to her for no reason. And I give her the fact that she did not back down. She was like, screw you, I'm not going anywhere. Why would I go somewhere? And honestly, I love how Tracy pokes fun at the like the YA genre, because one of the quotes there's my favorite out of this whole novel is, when exactly did I become a heroine in a YA romance? Like, it pokes fun. And not to mention, Jackson is a vampire, and Grace has no clue. Macy nor her uncle fill her in on any of this. So she is walking around the school, and they're like dropping hints madly. And me not reading the front cover, I'm going, wait a minute, hold on. That fits here, that fits here. Are they? And then I read 200 pages in, I read the front cover, and giggled at myself. She also meets Flint. Flint is a dragon, who quickly becomes friends. And then her first night, she goes for like a walk through the house. It's really a mansion, but through, and two wolves end up like cornering her. It's a full moon, so they're like, we're just gonna kill her, and Jackson has to save her. And so this whole story kind of plays out, this love story between her and Jackson. He sends her Twilight to try to drop her a hint, and even writes in, let me see if I can find it. I know it's like pretty early on. Oh, while I'm looking for it, I do want to mention. So she starts talking about, what is that show called? Legacies, which is about a bunch of paranormal teens living in a boarding school together. And Macy's just looking at her, and she still hasn't figured this out. And her and Macy come to love the show. And one of my other favorite quotes. And can I say, I'm beginning to feel awful like Alice in Wonderland here. Things keep getting curiouser and curiouser. Maybe the last plane ride with Philip really was really a trip down the big rabbit hole. Like, come on. I'm trying. So I found it. It's page 196. But she says, I don't know, I answer, but I turn over and it's totally the last book I ever expected him to send. Twilight? He sent me a copy of Twilight. When I turned to Macy in confusion. Macy gasps as she stares at the book, from the book to me. Then she starts to laugh and laugh and laugh. And so she's like, I guess it's kind of funny, blah, 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 blah. And then he puts the iconic quote in the front of it. He says, I said it would be better if we weren't friends. Not that I didn't want to be. Like, Edward says that to Bella before Bella knows he's a vampire. And like, it made my love for this book be more than what it already was. Honestly, the pokes at Twilight, the pokes at her not knowing what he was and like trying to figure out, was the best thing ever. That's really just the first like 200 pages of the book. Once you get past the first 200 pages, these are where the spoilers come in this novel. Just so you know, I'm going to put it on the screen now. Get out if you don't want the spoilers. So what happens next is Jackson had to murder his older brother. His older brother could convince people he basically, if he used his power, he could convince you to do anything. And he convinced these other students to kill themselves and kill each other. And so to stop him, Jackson had to kill him. Well, his crazy girlfriend decides she's going to bring him back to life. And come to find out, I'm trying to think of what her name is now. What was her name? It's literally referenced so many times and I can't think of it. Leah. L.I.A. She decides that she has to murder Grace to bring Hudson back. And she obviously fails. What happens is Flint tries to kill Grace to stop her. Grace clearly lives. There's 2 other books. So there's like a whole series. Grace lives. Flint is really apologetic because he's just trying to stop Hudson from coming back. And so they basically make it out, of course. And at the very end of this, Hudson goes to attack Jackson in like ghost form. And when he does, Grace turns to stone because she is a gargoyle. She had no clue. Jackson had no clue. They still after 3 books, we don't know how Leia knew. But it turns out that her and Jackson are mates as well. And she ends up stuck in stone. They don't know what happened to Hudson. They don't know what's going on. That is how the first book ends. Is Grace is in stone. Jackson is beside himself trying to figure out what happened to Grace and how to get Grace back. And her uncle and them basically just have to put her in a storage room and try to figure out how to get her back. So that's how this one ends. This one I gave 5 stars. Guys, I still am giggling rereading some of the like quotes and stuff I have marked. I can say I don't think I've ever loved a YA book. I don't know. I would say this is one of my favorite series. It's just so good. I love reading YA anyways, and Crave just happens to be one of my all-time favorites because it has that nostalgia pull for me. If you read Twilight and you loved it, you will get a giggle out of this. You will love this. This is like Twilight but better. Jackson's not as creepy as Edward was. Like, it's what Twilight could have been. Then we get to Crush. Now, with Crush, I was so hesitant to pick it up because everyone said that ending crushed me, that ending devastated me, you know, whatever. And so in Crush, you basically wake up with Grace. So there has been, you don't know how much time has passed when you first start this. Grace comes out of stone and just basically goes back to her life. She starts going to class, you know, blah, 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 blah. She does not realize any time has passed at all. She thinks she went to bed the night before, woke up, and just is going about her day like she normally would. Everyone around her is freaking out. She's like, why the fuck are y'all freaking out? I'm fine. Like, I'm just going to class. Can I help y'all? Come to find out, there has been 4.5 months that has passed between the ending of Crave and the beginning of Crush. She was stuck in stone for 4.5 months. She remembers nothing from the 4.5 months, has no clue where Hudson is, and kind of has to start life again. So this one, basically she's trying to figure out what happened to Hudson. How did I turn to stone? How do I do it again? Like, what are my gargoyle powers? Blah, 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 blah. So what happens is Jackson takes her to see the Bloodletter, which is the woman who raised him. It's like a big bad vampire, for lack of a better way to explain it. She's a big bad vampire. And so she shows Grace how to let, like, wait, I need to back up a little bit. A big part of the story is missed. So Grace is blacking out, missing time, and she's not sure, like, they know shit's happening and they're not sure how it happened. So what's happening is Hudson's taking over her body somehow. So that's what they finally figure out. And he's been gathering random ingredients, it seems. He attacked the alpha of the wolf pack. Okay, so it's actually a couple hours later. Excuse my lipstick, I've already eaten it and everything. I got a phone call from my mom in the middle of my sentence, and I had to go to her house to meet the plumber, and like I basically just be there while the plumber was there. Tiny girl over there is sleepy now. We took a 5-minute nap. You may hear her talk. You may hear her shake things because we are trying to stay awake over there. But we are playing hardcore with her toys that don't make too much noise. But what I was saying was Hudson took over Grace's body and attacked Cole, who was the alpha of the wolf pack at Catamere Academy, and took his tooth. Cole does not tell anyone that it was Grace because he had his ass whooped by Jackson in the first book, and so they don't want a wolf ride on their hands, and every wolf in the pack trying to challenge Cole for alpha. So he does that, and then Grace wakes up in the middle of the witch tower, in the middle of a pentagram. Not sure how she got there either. And then after that, if I'm remembering correctly, it's been a little while since I read this book. He also takes over Grace's body, convinces the librarian to go to her cottage on campus and leave the library unattended, and he steals a ritual dagger. It's called an athame, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, from the library. So at this point, Grace and Jackson do not know why Hudson's doing this, but they are aware that Hudson's taken over Grace's body and needs him to stop. So Jackson takes her to the only place he knows for sure can help, which is the bloodletter. The bloodletter ends up locking Grace in a cell until she can teach her how to block Hudson out. Basically put a barrier in between her and Hudson so he cannot take over her body anymore. Well, once she does that, she can now see and hear Hudson. And that's when things get juicy, and that's my favorite part of this book. So the entire time this book is happening, I wrote so many annotations that I didn't think Hudson was a bad guy. I thought she was meant to be a Hudson. I thought he was like knight in shiny armor. I thought he was just made out to be the bad guy. And I remember saying in a weekly vlog that it was because of Reese. Like, after reading A Court of Thorn and Roses and then going to A Court of Mist and Fury and also just like the rest of that series, I thought Hudson was a Reese. And I love to tell y'all, I was fucking right. So it turns out that Hudson is not doing this shit just for meanness. Like, he is trying to get out of Grace's head. They come to find that all the things that Hudson has stolen, they needed to get him out of her head. And they're missing a dragon bone and the heart of the unkillable beast. That's the two things they're missing. So they start out looking for those things. Flint does apologize to Grace and makes up with Grace for almost killing her. And he does explain himself, and Grace does forgive him. So him and a new character we get to meet, I'm trying to think of her name. Eden. So we get to meet Eden. Her and Flint help them get to the dragon boneyard, which is a really cool scene. So every time a dragon dies in this world, their bones are called home. And so they all go to this boneyard that's actually under Catamere Academy. And so they go there to see if they can't get a dragon bone. We do get some conflict there because our characters there's a dragon who dies while they're in there. And of course, the bones just start falling from the sky and breaking. And there's shards of bone just going everywhere. At this point, we get to meet our core group, which includes Xavier, Jackson, Grace, of course, Flint, Eden. I'm missing one. I know I am. Luca. Is that it? Yes. Luca. And so we get our core group, basically, that we get a found family, since in this one, where we meet this group, and so they get the dragon bone, get that done. Then comes the unkillable beast. When they try to leave Catamere Academy, Jackson's... Okay, sorry. Things are happening in my family. I had another phone call come in. We're back at it. So Jackson's father's protective tries to stop them. And they have Malachi with them at this point. and he ends up getting hurt. Grace learns more about her gargoyle powers and is able to save him. They go to the unkillable beast. Well, as they're attacking the unkillable beast, Grace Swan says, stop, stop, stop. And they're like, what, why? Come to find out the unkillable beast really is just a gargoyle that's been trapped out for over 1,000 years. The gargoyle has been trapped for over 1,000 years, and he can speak to Grace when he wants. He is not really cognitively there because locked up for 1,000 years. Grace, throughout this whole process, it's very interesting because she learns more about her powers and herself. And so she saves the unkillable beast, obviously. They stop attacking it. She tells the unkillable beast, I will be back for you. We're going to free you. I have to go figure out what I need to do here. When they get back to the school, there stands Cole. Let me explain the game that's in this book. So there is a traditional game they play every year. It's kind of like Hot Potato, but the magical version of it. So there's a lot of rules, and I'm not going to go into the rules. Just know that they play the game and win. Well, Jackson's father wants Grace dead, and in this installment, her and Jackson decide they're going to play the game, but for real. So the hot potato game, for real, for a spot on the council. So this is a council of the paranormals that rule their world, basically. So there's the vampire king, there's the dragon king and queen, there's the wolf king and queen, there's a dragon king and queen, and now there's about to be a gargoyle king and queen. The only thing is that you have to do it with your mate. At this point, Jackson and Grace are still mates. In my annotations, are still going, y'all aren't meant to be together. There's something not right here. When they get back to school from dealing with the unkillable beast, Cole's standing there and breaks their mating bond, which is supposed to be unable. Supposed to be unable to do that. That's not supposed to be something that can be done, but he does it. The bloodletter had gave Jackson the spell way back when to break their mating bond because Jackson didn't want to be mated to Grace. He changed his mind eventually and threw the paper away, but of course somebody found it and used it against him. So Grace has to go into this game of hot potato by herself. And with it, I say it's hot potato, this ball that you have to hold on to gets so hot and vibrates so hard you cannot hold it more than 10 seconds. So she has to throw it in the air and catch it a whole bunch. But there are 8 other people against her. It's her against 8. 1 against 8. Grace beats the odds and wins. Well, the way she wins is she uses Hudson's power. Before she walks into the field, she gets Hudson out of her head. The heart of the unkillable beast was the only way to get him out of her head without his powers. So he comes back full powers. But what he does when she takes him out, he leaves his power with her and said, you use it, and then you can send it back to me. So she does that. His dad says, you cheated. You cheated, so I'm going to kill you. And he bites her and nearly kills Grace. Hudson buries Grace in the ground because he's been doing all this research while he's been in her head on gargoyles and knows a shit ton. The boy knows a shit ton. He picks her up off the field, takes her out, buries her. He also reveals that he has an extra power. He's telekinetic too. He, with a thought of his mind, can destroy whatever he wants. So what he does is he turns all his father's bones to dust and then crashes a stadium on top of his father. Straight up. For him killing Grace. And then buries her in the ground. They don't think it's going to work. Of course, there's there's suspense there because they're not sure if it's going to work. And then all of a sudden Grace comes out of the ground. Jackson's loving on her, giving her, trying to love her and everything. And Hudson looks up and goes, will you get your fucking hands off my mate? And that's how that book ends. So a lot of people were talking about, I was devastated, blah, blah, blah. Destiny was happy. Destiny's over here like getting a little schoolgirl happy because I shipped her and Hudson already. Yes, Chunky. Do you want to come here? As I was saying, I shipped her and Hudson. Clearly, first off, I shipped her and Hudson. I wanted them together. They were just meant, like, you could see their chemistry while he's in her head. He made her laugh. Like, he got to know Grace as the woman she was growing into, not the girl who needed protecting. Jackson was in love with the girl who needed protecting. So, that's how that one ends. I definitely gave that 5 stars. It was such a fun ride. It was so much fun to see the different cultures and, like, how they function, really. You learn a lot more about the dragon culture for sure in that book. And you learn more about Grace. And you actually watch her grow into a full-fledged woman. And then the next one, which is... I give up. Okay, back to what I was saying now that I have a fresh cup of coffee. The baby has a snack. And she spilled coffee on the floor. But, I don't remember where I was at. Okay, gotcha. So, that leaves us on Covet. Covet was my favorite thus far. In this one, we see Grace grow even more. She starts out the book still in a relationship with Jackson, trying to make Jackson and her relationship work. And trying to make something happen that's not. Finally, by the end of it, Jackson breaks up with her and explains, you're my brother's mate. I can't keep going with you knowing you're my brother's mate. And it devastates Grace, but also sets her on the right path because she starts to give Hudson a chance and starts to give Hudson the chance he deserves. Because so far he's honestly just been stepping back, trying to be the good guy and letting her have the relationship she wanted, which was with his brother. So in this one we get to see Hudson and Grace grow more into being an actual couple, which I loved. Jackson and Grace's relationship to me was very insta-lovey. Like, I didn't see them fall in love. You just saw them in, like, oh, here it is, we're done. It made it seem like mates were something that was just forced upon them. Whereas Grace's and Hudson's relationship is very much more a grow kind of thing. We end up losing a character in the last book. We lost Xavier, which really sends Macy, Grace's cousin, on a loop because she loved Xavier. She was falling in love with Xavier. And now he's just gone. And so you also see Macy kind of struggle through her own depression over losing Xavier. And that's one thing I do love about the series is that it doesn't feel like you're just getting the same regurgitated ideas all over again. There's new conflict. There's always new obstacles for them to kind of, get over and complete. I did give Covet 5 stars. I love this. I love seeing Jackson and Grace grow more. I will say Miss Tracy knows how to write a cliffhanger. And the great thing, honestly, about... I'm sorry to hear the cats. They are up there playing. I was trying to see what the last line of this one was. Sorry, my brain's not working after everything. Thanks, Salem. So, like, the conflict's still going. There is a war that just started in this one. Jackson's father starts a war because he does not want Grace to be on the council, even though she won her spot. Do you want the rest of this? Yes. Mommy does not need to film today. Here. There you go. Can you sit down with it? No? Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry. Welcome to having baby and everything. So, Hudson's war. So war is starting to break out. Jackson's father, like, they know he is evil, and he is breaking out war, and he's using the witches and the vampires, and wolves to do it. Dragons are on Grace's side. She has a run-in this one with the Dragon Queen, and she, guys, that was the coolest thing. Like watching the dragons, kind of like their culture. You actually really get to see it because we go to the Dragon Court in this book, and then Grace kind of realizes I'm gonna have to make a court of my own. And the dragons have a tradition that's a lot like the Chinese New Year, where they have the red envelopes and everyone gets one. That's kind of what dragons do, but they do a hoard. And it makes me think of my bookshelves. Dragons love hoarding things. So they hoard money, they hoard love, they hoard family. They're very big on family and very charitable. So they go to the New Year celebration with the dragons, and well, it's not really a New Year's, their biggest celebration, and Grace ends up winning, or ends up getting enough money to start her Gargoyle court. So she is going to be Gargoyle Queen. But what happens is Jackson's father puts a warrant out for Hudson's arrest. And as long as Hudson is a Catamere student, it doesn't count. It doesn't count at all. So the only way they can find to get out of this and to break Hudson and Grace's mating bond, because that's something that Grace thinks Hudson wants and Hudson thinks Grace wants. And at one time she does, she grows to not by the end of it, is to find the crown. The crown is a magical item that gives whoever wears it ultimate power. They can do whatever they want. And they go, Hudson and Grace go to the bloodletter to get the bloodletter to tell them where the crown is. Well, yeah. Yeah. Are you gonna beat up Ivy now? She stopped talking and staring at me. Well, the bloodletter tells them the last person I know who had the crown and hid the crown was the unkillable beast. So now they have to set the unkillable beast free. Well, they've already tried breaking his chains and couldn't. And the bloodletter tells them, well, there's a giant who made his chains. You need to go find the blacksmith. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he is or anything like that. So they end up going to the land of the giants, and like the city of the giants, I should say. Of course, they live in the redwood forest. Amongst all these huge trees, there are giants walking around. They end up finding the city and getting permission to go in. And the whole series really alludes to Drace being more than just a gargoyle, which I'm super excited for. But they come to find the blacksmith who made the chain for the unkillable beast. Yes. Do you need more? Okay, so as I was saying before, the baby needed a bottle. They find the wife of the blacksmith who made the unkillable beast's chains. She tells them, oh, he's in prison. He's in the prison that they have just sentenced Hudson to. Okay? This prison's made to be unbeatable. You can't break out. It's magical. You have to go through and repent. And it's supposed to be this magical system that it determines when you have repented enough and you have suffered enough to get out. And now they have to go. And it's like, oh, baby Jesus. So they decide, okay, maybe we should go to the prison, like they're trying to decide or whatever. They have to go back to school because graduation is coming up. They do graduation. As soon as graduation is done, they walk across stage, get their diplomas, leave out of the stadium they're holding graduation in. Hudson is arrested. because his father changed the laws. Cadamere Academy is only protected as long as the student is enrolled there. So as soon as Hudson walked across that stage and got his diploma, he is no longer enrolled in Cadamere Academy and no longer under their protection. He's going to prison. Grace, as his mate, can either choose to stay on the outside and wait or go with him. She goes with him because, see, you should read the books and don't listen to my crappy synopsis because my brain goes in 4 different ways. Because they had already been to the witch who made the prison, and she gave them 3 flowers to basically, it kills them. It makes them seem dead long enough to get out of the prison. Well, here's kind of the kicker. What does she want in return? Like, everybody, obviously, everything has a price. She asked Grace for a favor later to be stated, and Grace can't say no. She fucking agrees. Dumbass. I can see that coming to bite her in the ass real soon. But they go to the prison and they end up meeting Remy. Because Flint has to go with them. So Flint's mother arrests Hudson. And then the Vampire King double crosses the Dragon Queen and goes, your son's going too, for attempted murder on the last living gargoyle, Grace. So now Flint's going to jail with them. They only have 3 flowers. It was supposed to be Hudson, Grace, and the giant, not Flint. Now they have to figure out how we're gonna get Flint out. So when Flint's mother hugs him, the last thing she says to him is, "Find Remy." They don't know who Remy is. They don't know anything about Remy. So Hudson and Flint get into like the intake system with Grace, and they just keep going, "Well, we're supposed to be in a room with Remy. You should put us in the room with Remy." And Grace is like, "Who the fuck is Remy? What are y'all talking about?" And Flint finally goes, "I don't know. My mom just told me to ask for him, so I am." And she's like, "Are you fucking serious?" So they get in the room with Remy, and you get to meet my favorite character of this entire series, because he has a New Orleans accent. New Orleans. He says it funny and I love it. And there's something in there growling, and they're like trying to convince him not to kill them, basically, because the guards go, "Well, the last people we put in here with Remy, he ripped them to pieces and we gotta go get them. So hopefully that doesn't happen to y'all," and sends them down this chute. Remy realizes it's Grace and doesn't kill them. And he has a manticore in there with him. Her name, she plays a big part and I can't remember her name. I'm really bad with names. Really am. Calendar? Calder? Anyways, she's a manticore who's Remy's best friend, and they're both in this prison together. Come to find out, Remy was born in the prison. He's the only one that doesn't have a cuff on. The cuff basically prevents him from using any kind of magic, any kind of anything. And Remy's mother had him in the prison, and now he's stuck. We never really find out what his mother did to get put there, or what the manticore did to be put there. I'm so curious about that one. But Remy tells her that he can see the future, and that he has seen her give him a flower. He doesn't remember, he doesn't know how the rest of them get out. That keeps shifting. It's not set in stone yet. But her giving him a flower is set in stone. So now they know we have 2 flowers to figure this out. And now I have to get the manticore, the giant, Flint, Grace, and Hudson. There's 5 people that you got with 2 flowers. Okay? You follow me, okay? So Remy's like, "Don't worry about it. I got a plan," and helps them all the way through it. So basically, boil it down short, they end up getting everyone out but Remy. And Remy ends up staying. He's like, "It's not my time yet. It's not my time yet. I've seen the future. I just gotta wait it out. It's not my time yet. I will see you again, but it's gonna be messy to get us there." The manticore decides to stay in New Orleans and wait on Remy. Because Grace tells her, "Do you want to go with us?" She's like, "No, Remy would be sad if I wasn't here when he got out." And so she's like, "Okay, hold on." And the whole group, the found family, ends up giving Grace everything that's in their pockets, which is a little over $2,000. And she hands it to the Manticore and says, get yourself a hotel room, get you some food, hang out here. Wait on Remy. I will see you again. She's like, don't worry, I'll find you. I know who the Gargoyle Queen is, and like saunters off. She's very confident and very like, oh, I love her. I love her and Remy. I can't wait to get to the next book, because if they're not in it, I may cry just a little bit, because they're my favorite. But she has a bottle and is mad because the bottle won't go put itself in her mouth. Welcome to 8-month-old logic. Anyways, so once they leave, the giant has given them a key. He made them a key that unlocks the unkillable beast. Cool, they go do that. Before they can go do that, though, when they get there, Hudson and Jackson's father, the Vampire King, is already there. He is ready to kill everyone. The dragons are also there trying to protect the unkillable beast, so they won't kill it. And oh God, it's heartbreaking, because they end up fighting for their lives. Flint gets hurt really badly. Grace tries healing Flint and can't. She just doesn't have enough power. So they keep trying to give her, Jackson and Hudson keep flipping back and forth to give her power, and they just can't. We find out earlier on in the book that Jackson's soul is slowly dying because of the break of his and Grace's mating bond. Come to find out, Grace's parents actually went to the bloodletter to have her, and the one thing the bloodletter said that she wanted was a mating between her and Jackson, and that's how their mating bond was able to be broken, because it was falsely put there in the first place. So she was always destined to be with Hudson, not Jackson. So Jackson takes on his father by himself and is unable to beat him, and he bites him, and Jackson's going to die. And so Jackson tells her, use all of my power. If I'm going to die, I don't want to die this within me. Save Flint. But save Flint. And so she does, and does that. Hudson scares everyone off, basically, because he threatens to kill them all, because he just starts basically turning people to fucking dust. By the end of it, he just starts turning people in dust with Grace's permission, because there's no other way out of it. And by the end of it, finally, his dad backs off. He realizes this is not a fight I can win. I'm going to lose this battle, but I can still win the war. And Hudson only knows how to play it because his mother sent them a message. And her message basically was, appear weak when you are strong, and appear strong when you are weak. Basically telling them, his father has no fucking power other than to convince other people to die for him. He has no more power. He used it all at the very beginning of his reign, and has just been riding it out from here on out. So they do that. Jackson does die. But then Grace is able to bring Flint back. Except Flint's missing a leg. From the knee down, his right leg is gone. Grace says, I didn't have enough power to save her leg. And Flint's like, okay, Ann, it's cool. I'm alive. I can learn to live without a leg. I can still fly. It's not like you took a wing from me. And his mother, to thank Jackson for saving her son, gives her his heart, her dragon heart. So dragons have two hearts. They have their dragon heart and their normal heart. She shifts into her dragon form, gives her heart, and now she can never shift into her dragon form again. But it completely heals Jackson, his soul included. So everything's good, hunky-dory, except we did lose Luca, which is Flint's love. We did lose Luca, and he was trying to protect Flint and Grace. So they obviously take Luca to be buried. And while Flint, Eden, and Jackson go do that, Macy, Grace, and Hudson free the unkillable beast. Once they free the unkillable beast, he turns back into his human form. And he just keeps saying, her, you have to give the crown to her. And Grace is like, who? And he means his mate, but he can't tell them who his mate is because he's been in his gargoyle form too long. He doesn't have any consciousness really left. But he is able to go ahead and give Grace the crown. So he tells Grace, after you use it for whatever you need to use it to, you have to give it to her. And so they're like, who the hell is her? What the fuck are we gonna do? And the last two chapters are in Hudson's point of view. And he tells her, I think it's time to tell Grace about her green string. What? I've been wondering about that green string because something inside of her has been telling her not to grab that string. And now I'm wondering, what is she? And we're going to find out in the next one. So, that's a quick rundown of everything that's happened in these 3 novels. With all the distractions and coffee spilling and everything else that's happened while trying to film this video. Thank you. My elbow was delivered. So, I will say that I loved these 3 novels. As you can tell, a lot happened in them. This is gonna be one long video. I can already feel it coming. But I absolutely love these. They are chunky, so chunky. Like look at the beautifulness of them. They are chunky and they are beautiful. When I picked these up, I really thought it was just gonna be like a kind of like another paranormal romance, but it has turned out to be so much more. I always put this in my reviews. There is very little teenage angst in these. I think that if Cadmere had been at college instead of high school, like high school age, this would have read the same, honestly. There wouldn't have been as much conflict because of course their parents wouldn't have played such big roles in it, but it would have read the same. So I absolutely love this series. I gave them all 5 stars. I can't wait for the next 3. I know I have the next one. It's yellow. It's golden colored. The cover is. In my room, I'm ready to pick it up, but I'm trying to read something else besides binging these. The next one, the one after that, so the 5th one was supposed to come out in mid-May, or mid-April, mid-May. And then the last one comes out in November. I cannot wait to get my hands on those 2 too. Once I have them all 6, I will do a full series review. I will say that I've not gotten a middle book syndrome out of these, which is really great. I don't feel like it's the same problem in resolution, just regurgitated on the page. It's like some of the series I've read before. I absolutely love this series. If you've not read these, I highly suggest picking them up and giving them a try. I love them so much. If you are a ACOTAR like if you love ACOTAR, you are Sarah J. Maas trash, you will love these. Because Hudson reminds me of Reese so much. They are the wounded hero. They are the I'm soft on the outside, but I'm gonna act hard, but I'm really like a squishy little marshmallow on the inside. You will love these. I'm gonna go ahead and close out this video before something else goes wrong, and I will see you on my next one. Bye guys.